What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, ushering in a new era, or returning back to an old era. We're going to be doing the realistic rebuilds here in Madden 20. You guys voted on it. It's going to be 2 5-year rebuilds per team, so 10 years. I feel like that's a good money zone. Before we tried, we did 2 or 3 teams, a different style of realistic rebuild earlier in the Madden cycle, where we had 3 5-year rebuilds. It was going 15 years. And I really feel like that last episode was really pointless. There's no real players left. No one really had any attachments to any of these guys. So you guys, it was 70% in the poll want to see 2 5-year rebuilds. So that is what we're going to do. Hopefully we get a good feeling of it. As you can see, we're starting where it all started here in Madden 20. We're going to be doing the realistic rebuild of the Las Vegas Raiders here in franchise mode. I'm excited, man. There's going to be more depth. We're going to do all the team, I'm getting back. I literally have watched nothing but my old realistic rebuilds, and I'm ready to get back into it. Might as well start by showing the XP sliders, because this was a big issue before. I'm using T-Dog sliders. These are top community sliders on Operation Sports that you can download off the Madden Share. I mean, it's still fairly similar. I mean, proportionate-wise to what I was running. My defensive lineman always had higher XP. But to give you an idea, the sliders that I was using before my base rebuilds, everyone got at least 130 was their starting point. And then tight ends, offensive linemen, and defensive linemen were fairly high. I don't think anyone was in the 200s, but I think tackles, guards, and centers all were 175. I think tight ends were 190, and I had actually 170 for D-tight. Anyways, these are the top sliders. We're going to, obviously, it's a learning game. We can adjust it as we go through. This is only team 1 of 32, but I feel like this should be a good money zone for us to be in. And, yeah, T-Dog sliders. And there you go. If you guys want to use the same sliders that I'm going to be using in my rebuild, just pause the video, and you can use these ones, or just straight up Google them. You probably have heard of them in T-Dog sliders. So, the last thing that I really want to show you that we're going to be kind of doing different here is when we upgrade players. To make it realistic, when we're upgrading any of our players, we can only spend it. Here's where it gets stupid, but we'll go here. We can only spend it on scheme fit, because doesn't that make sense? You need to get players that fit your scheme. If I'm John Gruden and I want zone defenders and I want power running backs, when I'm training, when you're going through week to week, all these sessions off field, off season, practice through the regular season, you're going to be developing guys for your scheme. Why would you be working on a guy here for why would we spending points on run support if that's not what we're looking like? So, I mean, there are going to be cases like Jalen Richard where it doesn't make sense, but to keep it realistic, and I actually kind of think it makes sense, every time we upgrade a player, it's going to have to be for our scheme. It just makes the most sense here, because if you're a coach and you're trying to develop guys, you're trying to take them in practice to hone in on their skills, you're going to make their skills so they fit your scheme, so you can put them in the best place to succeed. So why not, for Rico Gafford, you look at him, okay, clearly brings a lot of speed, but we want you to become a route runner. We need route runners in our offense. So you'd be developing and trying to train them as a route runner. That makes sense, right? So that is kind of a handicap that we're going to be putting on ourselves. It puts a lot more added importance when we're going into free agency to make sure we lock in guys that are scheme fit, or at least close to scheme fit. We're almost at the cut time for our roster, but I mean, our roster is pretty familiar. We have Carr here at quarterback for the time being. Looking at the roster right now, Peterman is a meme, but we do not need him on our roster. We don't need that many quarterbacks on our roster. I'd love to actually have that spare change that we could get from Glennon's contract, but he's still here. So, I don't know. I have no idea what direction we're going with the quarterback position. I'm going to assume we can try Derek Carr, 80 overall star dev. He's 28, but we already know what he brings to the table. We know what he brings to the table, especially in a sim format. So if he starts struggling, we're going to have to abandon ship sooner than later. At running backs, you have one of the best young running backs in the National Football League, maybe the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Josh Jacobs, 85, hidden dev. I actually don't know if they upped his dev trait. I think when we actually did through the Raiders franchise, he was a star. Could be higher, should probably be higher. Jalen Richard, even though he's not a scheme fit, really, really nice receiving back, good complementary option. They have some okay running backs here. We don't need Rod Smith, just really the odd guy out there. But Isaiah Crowell, DeAndre Washington. I mean, we do save some money. We're probably only going to go in with 3 running backs. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Fullback, we have Ingold. Awesome. Sure. At wide receiver, Tyrell Williams is our big dog here. 82 overall, star dev, speedster, 6'4" with 92 speed, 93 acceleration. Should be a top target. They made a trade with the Buffalo Bills for Zay Jones. I think we can definitely develop him. You have Hunter Renfrow. Should probably be plug and play as our slot wide receiver for the remainder of this rebuild. Dwayne Harris, more of a special teams ace. We don't really need that right now, especially for a 31-year-old veteran that we can almost save $1 million on for moving on. Gafford, some nice speed at the end of the roster here. Could be, if we have to make a last cut, maybe, but I definitely like utilizing that speed. At tight end, Darren Waller emerging as a monster. 85 star dev, 26 converted wide receiver from Georgia Tech. And we got Foster Moreau. I really do like this two-headed running back attack that we kind of have at tight end. You know, people think of backfields, headed monsters, right? You think of running backs. We actually have that in tight ends. So we have like a poor man's, obviously, you know, Netflix documentary makes you think about it, Gronkowski and Hernandez, or like, you know, in Philadelphia, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. I definitely want to keep Waller and Moreau together. And then maybe if we have to, if it comes to a breaking point, develop one, maybe Moreau, we can develop him a little bit and then trade him off for better assets. Derek Carrier, I mean, you know, I only like carrying 3 tight ends, so we'll get rid of him and we'll keep on Eric Tomlinson, former Eagle, at a UTEP. We all know my feelings about that school in Texas, El Paso. But yeah, we have our two-headed running back, tight end. I mean, can we really call it a two-headed tight end? I feel like we should have different nicknames for combos at different positions. But Waller and Moreau at that tight end position should be really, really nice. On the offensive line, Colton Miller, 75 normal. He's 23. We know how bad he played for us in our Raiders sim, but that was us playing in the games and staying in the pocket way too long. I think Colton Miller, from a sim standpoint, should be a nice developmental prospect here at tackle. At guard, we have Incognito, the veteran. Sure. I mean, actually, it would be nice if he doesn't retire, because then we can have an 80-plus overall guard for 2 years. At center, Rodney Hudson, superstar dev trait with the secure protector and pass block elite abilities. Really, really nice center. Again, a guy that I'm more so not worried about his age. I'm probably going to run him into the ground, because before he retires, there's no way he's going to be below the 80s. And center's probably the least important spot on the offensive line when it comes to a sim. But still, really nice player. Kind of some expensive players here. Gabe Jackson's solid for the time being. We know if things get tight salary cap-wise, we probably can dump his salary and find a mid-level replacement. But for right now, I mean, it's not bad. 79 overall, probably with some development at 28 with that start. We can get him into the low 80s. And then at right tackle, Trent Brown. I have nightmares thinking about what he did for us in that Raiders franchise. But he's good. I mean, that's you couldn't ask for a lot more than that. They made him one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid tackle in the National Football League, signing him as a free agent from the New England Patriots. 85 star dev, but he's 26. So, you know, we definitely should be able to get that full contract out of him before he starts to regress. Shout out to the Gators with David Sharp. From into the defense. So, they had an emerging star this year in Max Crosby. From a sack standpoint, he was sensational. He finished double-digit sacks, close to double digits, 7-8 sacks, if not more. So, that's awesome. That's a huge plus for a defense that's trying to replace Khalil Mack, even though we have so much draft assets. Feeling pretty good about that. I mean, Morrow's more suited to be a D tackle. I'm going to slide him into D tackle, see if his rating goes up a little bit. He's 290 pounds. That's a little big for a D end for my money. But Max Crosby, for sure, that actually looks like a franchise guy on the defense. Right end, you know, a little less than ideal. Deion Jordan's there. We got Cleveland Ferrell, Arden Key. So, we'll get rid of Deion Jordan for the time being. We don't need those. We don't need that guy in the locker room. They've been playing Ferrell like as D tackle, sliding inside and out, but we'll keep him at defensive end for the time being. I mean, that's a really undersized D tackle at 270. Like, that's even smaller than like Michael Bennett and Brandon. Well, you know, Brandon Graham plays a lot of D tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles on different packages. We could think about that, because if we put Ferrell at D tackle, that could give us Arden Key, who, I mean, may or may not develop, but he's 23 and a 70, still young enough that we could develop him as a defensive end and then have Ferrell be our D tackle too, along with Mo Hurst. It's definitely something we'll think about. We'll evaluate. We'll see how Ferrell performs here as a rookie. If he struggles, only gets 3-4 sacks, we definitely can think about moving him inside. Inside, the monster, the maniac, Maurice Hurst. Again, we can kind of throw back to the original Raiders franchise, thinking about some of these guys that became fan favorites, guys that we know are monsters, especially when you use them. So I love Mo Hurst. Again, I really would like to see Mo Hurst, Cleveland Ferrell, and Max Crosby stay together for almost this entire rebuild, if possible. Outside of that, you got John Hankins, solid. PJ Hall, solid. 27. I don't know. I'm gonna say that the D tackle 2 spot's definitely up in the air. Be it we let one of these guys really take over it, or we move Cleveland Farrell inside. Linebacker core is weak. Wilbur, nothing there, man. It's 30. He's done. We have Vontaze Burfict, so old. We got Tahir Whitehead, very old. Markel Lee. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna make Markel Lee left outside linebacker just so he gets those snaps. He's the linebacker with the most upside on our squad. And, give him the reps now, get him some development. Maybe he can actually establish himself so we don't have to worry about finding 2 out of 3 linebacker positions instead of getting all 3 in the draft or free agency. Jumping to the secondary, we have Daryl Worley, 24.75. We might be able to work with that, especially if we can get a dev trade here or there. He is a scheme fit pretty much. Trayvon Mullen, really nice option. The draft pick out of Clemson, I think it was a second-round draft pick. Day 2 draft pick for sure. He's going to start along with Nevin Lawson. Nick Nelson's not bad at 20. Actually, we might go Daryl Worley, Trayvon Mullen, and Nick Nelson. Just go with the youngsters. And then you got Isaiah Johnson and Lawson can be depth because 22, he's 70, 28, 74. It just feels like giving Nick Nelson the reps right now. It's going to be a little bit more beneficial to the squad. Free safety, we got LaMarcus. Okay. So this is where things get tricky because I don't want to get too crazy switching positions around, but we're so desperate for a linebacker that I'm going to do it. I'm going to say that this is not going to be a norm of a realistic rebuild, but if you watch Jonathan Abram play, he is pretty much a money backer. Like, his style of play is pretty much a money backer. So what we're going to do is we're going to move him inside. He's going to be our middle linebacker. I don't know what's going to give him the highest rating. 65 middle linebacker, that's not great. We go right outside linebacker. What do you switch to? 69. Because, it just makes the most sense. Our linebacking core is weak, and LaMarcus Joyner is one of our best players on defense. He is 28. Get up there in age a little bit. We can still probably get 2-3 solid years out of it. We got a big contract. It's going to be hard to move on from that. So we need to find the best way to get Jonathan Abram, one of our first-round draft picks, on the field, and that is going to be moving him to linebacker. When you look at his style of play, he's the big-time hitter, man. 88 hit power. A little bit undersized, but he's, the modern-day linebacker in today's NFL, I think. If he can gain, 10 pounds even, that would be money. So you have Marcus Joyner there. At strong safety, Carl Joseph. Hopefully we can develop him back into a baller. 76 star dev. 25, still a lot of good football ahead of him for his career. I definitely think he's a guy we can grow into the 80s. Special teams, Carlson. Anytime we get a kicker, anytime we have to come into gameplay and kick, I like big kick power. Give me a big leg. And Daniel Carlson has a big leg on him. And then we just have a rookie punter here, AJ Cole out of NC State. So looking at our draft picks, we have 2 first-rounders, 1 from Chicago from the Khalil Mack trade. We have 2 extra third-rounders, 1 from the Bears from that Khalil Mack trade, and 1 from the Houston Texans as part of the Garyon Conley trade. I'm not going to lie, I'd probably rather Garyon Conley on the roster right now than an extra third-rounder, but it is what it is. Also, as you guys would have probably saw yesterday, updated my draft classes. So for right now, the first 2 years of the rebuilds, the realistic rebuilds, we're going to be using realistic draft classes, and we're going to get back to kind of what we did back in the old days is when we used a player, I write their name down in an Excel sheet, and they're not going to get used again. Because I think the common complaint is when I use my custom draft class, it's the same players. And usually it kind of, I tried my best to remember. But when you get into the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, finishing out the draft, there's going to be some overlap. And I get that. You kind of see the same mid-round, late draft picks. So we're going to make sure that we prioritize using a prospect once and then refraining from using him again. So that's the full roster breakdown. Let's get into the realistic rebuild of the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're coming back early. After week 1, it was a losing effort, but we still had a player of the week, Derek Carr, going for 360 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns in a losing effort, but it also triggered 2 potential dev trade scenarios. First up, we have Zay Jones, the wide receiver, who can go from, I think, normal to a star. Very reasonable. 100 yards for him on the day is totally doable. And we also got John Abram, the man we moved from safety to linebacker. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. 250 total yards against the Chiefs. That's really, really tough, but he only needs a TFL, a sack. That's totally reasonable, totally doable here in week 2. Let's get it. And we had a losing effort here against the Kansas City Chiefs, but in this game, Zay Jones went over for 100 yards. I think he had 8 catches for 102 yards, so he's going from normal to a star dev plus 20,000 XP. And John Abram had a tackle for loss and an interception in a losing effort So he is going from normal to a star dev and 20,000 XP. That is a huge way to start this rebuild up, even though we're 0-2. And right after the bye week here, getting ready for a Week 7 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. We're 1-4, but we have yet another dev trait scenario triggered. It's from Hunter Renfrow, who already has a hidden dev, which I assume is a star. We can tell actually what it is by here. Yeah, he does have a star, so we have a potential to get superstar with 3 touchdowns or 150 yards out the slot for the young playmaker from Clemson. That would be actually insane to get a star dev player like that this early on, but we're 1-4. It's not a great start. Bottom dwellers in the AFC West. Statistically speaking, Derek Carr is playing, middle of the pack, maybe slightly better than middle of the pack. Josh Jacobs not nearly as prolific as he was in real life. And hey, it's just, it's just an offense that is generally lacking. So looking at some free agents here, who do we want to bring back? Who's worth bringing back? We'll start. We got Bussin' with the boys. Will Compton, cool. With players that are available to negotiate, I think Daryl Worley could be worth growing and developing in our scheme, especially if he takes that money, which is nice. And Carl Joseph, I mean, that's fairly simple. We'll just go with 2 guys shoring up the back end of our defense. He wants a little bit more money, which is totally reasonable. Now, this was like I want Jalen Richard. Like, it makes sense to keep a receiving back, but for the sake of a Madden sim, your running back 2 is pretty much interchangeable. It's all depending on your scheme. And Josh Jacobs so good at being a power back as well as catching the ball at the backfield. Jalen Richard's kind of surplus requirement, especially for that kind of money. So yeah, we'll just make sure we can extend Carl Joseph here, and the rest of these guys, enjoy yourself in free agency. Well, actually, that's a lie. Who do we get? Should we, some young players here that we might actually probably would like to throw it off here to Nick Nelson, Daniel Carlson, Keelan Doss. So a couple of the younger guys maybe we'll look at keeping as well. It was another losing effort against the Green Bay Packers, and for Mr. Renfrow, he did not get it done. We failed the opportunity to grow him up to a superstar dev trait. And at the end of year 1, we did finish it with a Week 17 victory over divisional rival Denver Broncos, 31-24, but still a disappointing season. Bottom dwellers in the AFC West. Versus where the Raiders were in real life this year as, outside contenders for the wild card. We have a top 5 pick in the draft, which is pretty cool. I don't really know what we're going to do. I feel like, let's see the stats here. Like, do we give Derek Carr another year? That is not good numbers from Derek Carr. We might be prompted to draft a quarterback, even though I don't know if I really want to, but 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, the argument can be made, maybe if we go get, a Jerry Jeudy, a CeeDee Lamb, like a big wide receiver, give Derek Carr another opportunity with maybe bigger, better weapons, he could perform better. But then we're kind of handicapped, because if we go all in on building around Derek Carr in this year's draft and this year's offseason, and he sucks again next year, then we're a year behind of development and bringing in a quarterback. So I don't know. We'll have to see how the draft plays for us, because we probably will be in play for a quarterback or a really good skill position player. Josh Jacobs, solid rookie season. 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 75 yards per carry. Not bad from Crowell and Jalen Richard as assisting. Hunter Renfrow as a rookie led the team 49 catches, 761 yards and 5 touchdowns. We get almost 700 and only a touchdown from Darren Waller. 650 and 7 from Tyrell Williams. That's a nice year from him. 560 and 3 from Zay Jones. 504 from... So Josh Jacobs was an absolute animal. 1,700 yards, 14 total touchdowns for the rookie at Alabama. Should be Offensive Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. Hey, look at that. Colton Miller and Trent Brown combined only gave up 14 sacks versus when we actually played with the Raiders and they gave up probably 40-some sacks combined. I like it. Defensively, Abrams was a machine. We might have Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jonathan Abrams tank, 140 tackles, 12 TFLs, a sack, and interception, and that lone interception came in the game that he needed an interception to go from normal to a star dev, which is dope. We got 5 sacks, 11 TFLs from Cleveland Ferrell. That's actually pretty acceptable given our team. Max Crosby with 4 sacks, 7 TFLs. So I like the fact that number 1 and number 2 are young edge rushers. I don't like the fact that neither one of those numbers are particularly great, but for a rookie, it's not bad. Interceptions definitely down. Only, Jesus Christ, 2, 3, 5 interceptions on the year. It's not going to get the job done. We were 24th offensively. I would assume probably near the bottom, even worse defensively, 31st. So yeah, it doesn't get a lot worse than what we had here with the Raiders. Tom Brady is your MVP this season. When you look at the AFC Offensive Player of the Year, went to Tom Brady. Defensive Player of the Year went to Thomas Davis. So it's just the senior citizens winning the big-time awards this season. Jonathan Abram coming in at number 5 for Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year went to our boy Josh Jacobs. I love seeing Jai reinventing himself as a rookie. Renfro coming in at number 8. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Jonathan Abram. So we clean sweep for the Rookie Awards, which is, I think, well-deserved. Trayvon Mullen coming in at number 8. Quarterback went to Brady. Running back went to Chubb with Josh Jacobs at 4. Wide receiver went to Julian Edelman. Lineman, do we have any linemen? Okay, I'm also going to tell you this. This is going to be the change to the realistic rebuilds. There are 3 positions that are glitched out here for going up in dev traits. So we are going... Tight ends don't go up in dev trait. We'll just go with 2 because sometimes corners go up. It's not impossible for corners to go up in dev traits. But for special teamers, kicker or punter, for offensive linemen, and for tight ends, if you make the Pro Bowl, you're going up in a dev trait. I feel like that's like, I was looking around on Reddit, that's what people are doing. I think it makes the most sense at least once, at least one time, right? You have that one cash in. Because for offensive linemen, they don't go up in dev trait, and that's really, really dumb. You can only go up to superstar anyways. So if any of our linemen make this Pro Bowl, they're going to go up in dev trait once. And then we can start thinking, I don't know, we're going to have to get in the situation. But I just want to figure out a way to realistically reward my tight end and offensive line because it's impossible for them to go up in dev trait in the Madden sim. But I'm just focusing more so on the offensive line because I have had tight ends, I've had corners. Those are the 2 guys that are kind of glitched out when it comes to dev traits. I have had them grow in dev traits, but you don't have offensive linemen. So just kind of view it in the scope right now. If any of my linemen make the Pro Bowl, they're going up in dev traits. So looking at the Pro Bowl, it kind of is like the one scenario that doesn't work out. We only had one guy make the Pro Bowl, and that was center Rodney Hudson, and he can't go up in dev trait because he's already at superstar. So we got to get more guys in the Pro Bowl. Super Bowl in year 1 went to the New England Patriots, knocking out the Cowboys 31-28. For the Patriots, just classic. Brady played pretty clean, and most likely either him or Jamie Collins got the Super Bowl MVP. Peeking at free agency here in year 1, familiar faces, Chris Jones, Andrew Luck. We're not going to be huge spenders, and Ngakoue was the big one, but I want to trust the development here of Cleveland Ferrell. So here are our 2 negotiations. First, we got Mac Hack. 26, 75 punter with a star dev. That's just an immediate upgrade. And then Corey Littleton. We're not going to overpay for a linebacker. It's a position that can easily be filled during the draft, especially looking ahead to the 2020 draft. There are some names that we have for the number 4 pick. But the 2021 draft is even more stacked at middle linebacker. So a guy like Littleton, who is a scheme fit at 26, I would definitely love to add him to the linebacker core considering we have no technically middle linebackers on the roster. But if we don't get him, we can probably just as easy flip Tahir Whitehead inside the middle linebacker as a Band-Aid and look at the draft this year or next year to replace him. So we're not going to overpay, but a slight bid upgrade over the Ravens, who are at 2nd place. If we get him, it's great. If we lose him, it's not that big of a loss. And Corey Littleton said, nah, don't like Las Vegas. Maybe there's too much temptation for him. He wants to hit the slots. He wants to go on, Pawn Stars. It's just too much. So we're at the draft. We pick at number 4. So let's see who goes off the board. So pick 1 to the Miami Dolphins. They select Chase Young, defensive end from Ohio State. The Pittsburgh Steelers they get Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. The Detroit Lions get Joe. The temptation at least is gone for us trying to get Joe Burrow. So who we are at pick number 4. I mean, there's quarterbacks there. Tua's there. Justin Herbert's there. We can look at improving a lot of positions on this team. Looking at our roster, the biggest question is quarterback. But looking at weaknesses, we could use another wide receiver. I want to trust that we can continue to develop Colton Miller. We need a guard badly, but you can get those later on. The rest of the offensive line is not too bad. But we need a guard. I could argue you need a guard would be important, but you're not going to burn a first-round pick, a top 5 pick on a guard. Definitely could use a linebacker. Could use a corner for sure. D-tackle maybe. So looking at the board, man, it fell out fairly well to us. We're not going to get a quarterback this year. I'm gonna just trust. And then, hey, maybe on the backswing, we could get a Jordan Love or a Jake Fromm, a nice developmental guy in the second round if we really regret not getting one. But I'm looking at, you still got CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver. But we did draft CeeDee Lamb in the rebuild, the base franchise mode we did. So and you look at tackle, I mean, we're going to trust our tackles that they can grow and develop. So I think the next logical pick, it's either going to be Derek Brown at D tackle, or we could look, Isaiah Simmons is still on the board at linebacker. Caleb Von Chasson would be an edge rusher. Jeff Okudah. For me, it's between Okudah and Isaiah Simmons. And I think it has to be Okudah. I think Okudah has to be the selection here at corner. Get a premier shutdown cornerback. We have a fairly weak cornerback room. I mean, we hope Trayvon Mullen can kind of develop. So I think Jeff Okudah is going to be our pick here. And he is a 79 overall hidden dev, ranked number 5 in true talent. We got him at number 4, coming in 93 speed, 94 acceleration, good agility, solid tackling, 78 tackling, 85 man. That's, you can't, that's a home run. That is a home run pick. And we're back at it with another first-round pick. Thank you to the Chicago Bears, where we're sitting here. There's still a lot of guys that are up for grabs. But I think this one here is very easy. Understanding that, I think we need to get younger at wide receiver. Henry Ruggs, the speedster out of Alabama. I mean, it's a popular mock draft pick right now to the Raiders. It makes a whole lot of sense for us because Tyrell Williams didn't really do much. His development's kind of stunted. We have Zay Jones. We do have Zay Jones emerging. Herbert's still there at quarterback. Oh, I don't know what to do. Because the more I think about it, we had Zay Jones emerge as a star dev guy. So, like, in real life, the Raiders need wide receivers. But with Renfro and Zay Jones for sure having their best football ahead of them, Ruggs might be more of a luxury pick. We probably could have better value elsewhere. We didn't scout a whole lot of guys here. When it comes to linebacker, Patrick Queen's there. Malik Harrison's there. Troy Dye got a first-round grade somehow. I think that we might be able to hit on that a little bit later. Xavier McKinney still there. Oh, I don't know. I think we trust that we can grow and develop Derek Carr. I think we look at... Jesus, this is tough. Like, we really do need a linebacker. But if Troy Dye's got first-round grade, he's way down there, we could probably wait and get him. I'm going to say screw it. We're going to go speed. We'll get Henry Ruggs. It's a good problem to have too many wide receivers. Henry Ruggs, 74 hidden dev, number 18 in true talent. We got him at pick 24, 97 speed, 97 acceleration. This pick is for you, Al Davis. So the follow from the draft, the ratings might not be great, but we did hit on some dev traits. So you saw the Okudah pick, you saw the Henry Ruggs pick, and then the third round, we got another scheme fit, Darrell Taylor, the linebacker from Tennessee, 68 power rusher. So definitely fits what we want to do. Has a very good shot to actually start as a rookie. Third round, we got Shane Lemieux, very good value pick, 71 guard, hidden dev. He does have a morale hit. Kind of didn't want to stay on the West Coast. It is what it is. 88 strength, looks really good. Run blocking, pass blocking, almost both 80. So he's a very well-rounded offensive lineman. Third round, so we missed out. I picked Lemieux, hoping that we could get Troy Dye, who we had a first-round grade on. He literally went the pick before this. Pick 23 in the third round. So I was triggered, but then I was a little bit happy because we get Evan Weaver. The 67 overall is not great. Troy Dye was like a 72, but we got the hidden dev. 67 hidden dev, so the sky's the limit for him. He's a multiple-time, like, Pac-12 all selection, so upside is there. A little bit more of an old-school style linebacker. This was the Hail Mary. Jalen Hurts, 66 hidden dev. Just, we didn't have a passable grade on him. I didn't know he had a dev trait, but there you go, man. A guy that can maybe develop into something. Most likely not, but even if he's a 66, he has that hidden dev. Could look good in the preseason, could give us something to think about, but for right now, just a backup. Fifth round, adding more depth to linebacking core. We got Marcus Bailey from Purdue, 67 overall. Sixth round, Javaris Davis. I think he's cousins with Vernon Davis and Vontae Davis. Burner, 95 speed out of Auburn. And And we finished it up by bringing in a power back, our third back on the roster, Michael Warren II out of Cincinnati. So with the Henry Ruggs selection, Tyrell Williams kind of became surplus requirement. He's still 28 and 82 star dev wide receiver, but we paid him big money. He's like $11 million cap hit. He had like 600 yards for us last season. We need to move our assets around. So we were able to package Tyrell Williams and a 5th round pick this year for a future 3rd and 4th from the Cincinnati Bengals. Fair trade all around. So with that trade, there's no way to kind of acknowledge we took a loss on that. Tyrell Williams, we paid him big money to come over from the Chargers, kind of failed to live up to expectations, kind of got overshadowed, at least by the development of Zay Jones and the production of Hunter Renfrow. And you can't be our 3rd wide receiver, essentially, and not be performing on that kind of a hit. Maybe just not a scheme fit. He was definitely not a scheme fit. And with the selection of Henry Ruggs, it made it even more important to try to maximize whatever value we could get. So Ruggs has a hidden dev trait. We brought in Jalen Hurts as a backup quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what his dev trait is. Same with Lemieux, who will be starting. Who's our 3rd round pick, starting at left guard. Looks like we might be able to get Colton Miller into the 80s this year, which would be really, really nice. But really everything, all eyes on offense, is a guy like Ruggs. A guy that truly can take the top off defense is gonna help the development of Derek Carr. Because, I mean, Jalen Hurts, it's really unlikely, less than 25% that he's going to be our starter. We brought him in just to be a solid backup, but Carr is just, I mean, come on, do something. Josh Jacobs also has a chance to get up into the 90s, which would really solidify him as one of the best young running backs in the National Football League. Flipping to the defensive side. So, I don't think we had any dev traits earned outside of our boy, Jonathan Abram, moving him to linebacker. We're actually going to make him a team captain right now. Was huge, man. He got it last year, just during Super Bowl week, for getting Defensive Rookie of the Year, got that superstar dev. So you look at, I guess that means it is possible for winning Defensive Rookie of the Year to go up in a dev trait. We got Okudah here, needs to be a lockdown corner. Mullen actually has a dev trait as well. I don't know if he actually had a star. Yes, he did. He had a hidden dev trait. So between Mullen and Okudah, we have 2 really nice corners for the future of this rebuild. I want to see Farrell continue his development. I would love to get a dev trait scenario for you with Farrell or Max Crosby, another guy with some upside on the defensive line. From a dev trait standpoint, would be huge. We still have the familiar faces at safety. Weaver is going to be starting at middle linebacker, as well as Darrell Taylor. So going really, really young at linebacker. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us in the ass here in year 2 of the rebuild. Coming into the bye, we actually have an Offensive Player of the Week performance from Derek Carr, who had 4 total touchdowns in the victory, 31-14, over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, it's a very early bye week. We got a breakout scenario for Zay Jones, a man who has probably boatloads of confidence, knowing that we essentially chose him over Tyrell Williams. That's a big ass, though. 3 touchdowns, 150 receiving yards for Mr. Zay Jones. But let's look at the I mean, we might as well see if we can hammer out an extension before he potentially goes off on that dev trait. I think keeping till he's 30 would be fairly reasonable. 5-year deal. He wants a little bit more money. But Nas, just kind of viewing the outside scope, that's really all we need to consider re-signing right now is Zay Jones. But now there's that added risk. If he does get that dev trade increase, he's going to cost a lot more money. And the fallout, it's a losing effort. I'm going to doubt that he got it. Yeah, of course, Zay Jones, unfortunately, did not hit the performance indicators to go from star to superstar. Ooh, then we got an upset win over the Chiefs on the road, and Mo Hurst went from star to superstar dev. You love seeing that. He's a monster. One of my favorite players in the league that I got just from Madden. And at the conclusion of year number 2, we had 2 less losses than we had before. 5-10-1, still bottom dwellers in the AFC West for a team that's, slowly starting to get there. 84 overall. Statistically, Derek Carr, again, it's just the production. He's not turning the ball over. 6 interceptions is not bad, but I need a little bit more than 25 touchdowns. Like 30 is like the bar that you really want for your quarterback to be hitting. So, I don't know. Josh Jacobs continues to be really, really good. 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. We brought in Bo Scarborough, signed him off the Lions practice squad. He got 6 touchdowns, so, going doubling up on the Alabama running backs. Receiving, Zay Jones on the team, 66 catches, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns. We got 770 and 3 from Renfrow, 675 and 7, as well as 73 catches from Ruggs. That might be good enough to get Offensive Rookie of the Year. Waller, solid year as well. Maybe not hitting the performance that he does in real life. He's like almost a fringe 1,000-yard tight end in his breakout year at the Raiders, but That's still, somewhat, respectable. Josh Jacobs, not too bad. Defensively, Abrams, 137 tackles, 7 TFLs, 5.5 sacks, and a pick for John Abram. I love him, man. One of my favorite players in this game. Worley over 100 tackles. Carl Joseph having a real big year. 104 tackles, 5 TFLs, 4 interceptions. Over 100 tackles for the rookie Evan Weaver. We got 5.5 sacks from Abram. Crosby, only 4 sacks, but 15 TFLs is not bad. Disappointing performance from Cleveland Ferrell. Definitely sacks. You'd like to see that a little bit higher, but the interceptions are up. I'll take 4 picks. Carl Joseph, 3 from Joyner. Great safety play. Okudah, the rookie, 70 tackles, 2 interceptions. It's not bad. We're 28th offensively in the NFL. Defensively, 30. Again, it's like same kind of performance we had last year. Aaron Rodgers is your MVP, and the AFC Mahomes is there. Defense player of the year went to Myles Garrett. John Abram coming in at number 2. The offensive rookie of the year went to Tua Tagovailoa. Got Ruggs all the way down at number 4. Defensive rookie of the year went to Isaiah Simmons. Evan Weaver, runner-up at number 2. But hey, going ahead of Troy Dye, the guy that we kind of hoped we could have got. Weaver performed a little bit better. Okudah at number 4. Darrell Taylor at number 6. So lots of Raider rookies making the list here. For individual awards, you're not going to see anyone. Oh! Carl Joseph, best DB. There's Garyon Conley, former Raider. But I'd love to see that be a dev trade increase for Carl Joseph. But all in all, man, disappointing season yet again. I don't know. I have no idea what the strategy is going to be. I'll tell you right now, for originality's sake, we're not going to draft Trevor Lawrence if we had the opportunity to draft him, just because that's the direction we went with the Raiders franchise. But kind of starting to get a feeling that the weak link is the quarterback position here with Derek Carr. We had a couple Pro Bowlers this year. I like seeing that. Carl Joseph is your starting strong safety. We had Daryl Worley was corner 2. What? Jonathan Abram made it. We had on the offensive side, yet again, back-to-back Pro Bowls for Rodney Hudson. Our fullback in Alex Ingold made it as the starting fullback. Josh Jacobs just making the cut at running back. So our players are finally starting to get some recognition. I don't know if Pro Bowl helps anything for dev traits, but if it did, that'd be nice. Super Bowl was the Cleveland Browns, Little and Saints, with the Browns knocking them off 31-27. Just shutting out Tyler Huntley. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, it seems pretty glitch. Seems like we only got the stats here for the Browns, but Baker Mayfield, really nice performance. Looking at my options here in free agency, quarterbacks 1, Drew Brees. I mean, that could be a one-year Band-Aid, but I'd rather just try to give Derek Carr an opportunity. Trubisky, I'm not going down that hole. And you just get, your familiar faces here. I mean, if you had to throw your hat in, it might be Nick Mullins, but he's no better than Jalen Hurts, our backup. We do actually have a decent amount of money to spend, so we have a really well-built team. The one weakness I would argue would be, P.J. Hall's not really developing much. Let's see what Chris Jones is as far as scheme fit. What are we looking for here? We need speed rusher, I think, is what our scheme is. How far off is he? He's a 95. What is he? Speed rusher is 91. I mean, we can pay him. I'm going to offer him this. I'll offer Chris Jones this money. If he doesn't take it, if someone else comes, actually, no one else is bidding on him. So let's actually lowball him just a little bit. Let's see if we can get that. As long as your bid is still in like the 80s, you're going to be sitting pretty. I'd love to get this under 12 million. Where are we at if we get this under 12? It's probably going to be like 70 something. 77. We'll go. Let's see if we give him. Come on, just give me 80. Give me 80 points. Okay, you know what? We'll rock and roll with that. We'll rock and roll with 77, a low bid, but maybe you'll be attracted to the the nightlife style of Vegas. Boom! And you better believe it. Chris Jones, D tackle, superstar X Factor, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs. We had the money to spend. It was burning a hole in our pocket, and we still have a pretty big chunk of available salary cap, especially with some of those younger players' contracts coming up. But welcome Chris Jones to the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is an interesting one. We got prompted for our 5th-year option on Colton Miller. At this point, he's like 24, 25, almost an 80 overall tackle. He's not giving up double-digit sacks. So at this point in time, it feels applicable to pick up that 5th-year option on the tackle at a UCLA. And again, we have a top 5 picks. Let's see how the draft kind of plays out. At pick number 1, the Dolphins select Trevor Lawrence. He's gone, so at least we don't have that temptation, even though I said I wasn't going to draft him anyways. Pick 2, Jamar Chase went to the Redskins. Pick 3 to the Vikings. They select, they get Sewell, the tackle. Literally, like, the 3 best players in the draft are off the board. No one slipped to us. So we're sitting here looking for anything at this point. I mean, Justin Fields is there. That's an interesting option, honestly, at quarterback. But, again, I don't know if we're going to ride Herbert into the ground, but not Herbert, but I wish we actually got Herbert at this point. Derek Carr to the ground. I want to give him 1 more year. I feel like giving him 2 years is appropriate, is applicable. We don't need wide receivers, even though the draft board looks sensational for wide receivers. Moore, Justin Ross, Jalen Wild, Tylan Wallace. Even we're getting first-round grades for some of these guys. Where do we even really need a player at? Like, what is our top priority here? We got a 5th-year option. I mean, the weakest link on offense would be Gabe Jackson, but he's still a 79. Quarterback, obviously. You look at defense. I mean, we could use another corner along with Okudah. Okudah's superstar. Gee, I don't know, man. Like, Fields might be the pick here. Could get younger at safety. Patrick Surtain's still there. We could literally have, like, the best lockdown corners. This is tough. I think we are going to draft. We got to do it. We have to do it. Right? Right? Like, I just keep getting deja vu while people complaining when I got rid of Derek. But Derek Carr in the Raiders franchise playing good. Screw it. Quarterback is the biggest weakness. Justin Fields is still here. This is going to be our selection. 76 hidden dev trait. Number 13 in true talent. We got him at pick 4. 91 throw power. Very accurate. He had, like, 1 interception last year for Ohio State. There we go. He's the truth. Great. The truth. So a full draft recap of our last realistic draft class. So we got Justin Fields at pick 4. I mean, it makes sense. We picked top 5 2 years in a row. And the reason behind that most likely was Derek Carr. So now we have Justin Fields, one of the more prolific quarterbacks in college football. And the second round, we get Alaric Jackson, the Canadian tackle. He's going to be lineman. We actually might slide him in to be potentially the successor to Gabe Jackson at right guard. 70 with a hidden dev trait, very well-rounded offensive lineman, as is usual for Iowa. Third round, we got Pola Mao from USC, 66, free safety. Scheme fit, I prioritize, pretty much day 2 picks, getting guys that are scheme fits. We got Mustafa Johnson, defensive end from Colorado. Big defensive end, but he is a scheme fit as a run stopper. We kind of whiffed on this pick. We get Adrian Ely, the tackle from Oklahoma. And then we try to bring in a punter, maybe get a better upgrade because Cole's like 65, 66. And we hit on Stonehouse, and he's not actually that good of a punter. So kind of 2 wasted picks to finish out the draft, but the first 4 are really good. And maybe, just maybe, we have our next franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. Let's back-to-back first picks from Ohio State for the Vegas Raiders. Okudah last year, Fields this year. Hopefully it brings us some on-field success. And then we got a dev scenario here for Derek Carr to mentor Justin Fields. Hell yeah. Making it his roster spot, his big cap hit. Make a lot of sense. It's up his throw under pressure because everything else is his outside of the pocket mobility is going to be really, really high. So there we go. +3 throw under pressure for Justin Fields. Thank you, Mr. Derek Carr. Year 3 is about to kick off and a changing of the guard at the quarterback position with our first round pick, Justin Fields. We didn't draft him to just sit behind Derek Carr all year. The reason why we drafted him is because Derek Carr's not good enough. Why put ourselves in a hole? So while Derek Carr is definitely accepted and agreed to mentor Justin Fields, it's his offense, like Derek Carr said, and he is going to be our starter. Josh Jacobs is now a 90 overall. Our wide receiver core, very well-rounded. Zay Jones, we got Henry Ruggs, and Renfro. Offensive line, Lemieux's a star dev. Everything else is fairly decent. We got Alaric Jackson here, who, like I said, I think he might eventually be the successor to Gabe Jackson. I would love for one of these hidden devs, though, to be a superstar. Everyone we've got so far has been just a base star. I think Fields might have an opportunity to break that mold, but it's still a solid offense. There's no real weaknesses on our defense. You flip back to the defensive side. So Okudah, our first round pick, emerged as a superstar dev. Everyone else is developing fairly nicely. We'll actually bump Trayvon Mullen to be that second starting corner. Cleveland Farrell's been pretty much the only disappointment in terms of development on the defense. We brought in big Chris Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency to pair that with Mo Hurst, who got his superstar ability last year. Max Crosby's developing nicely. Weaver is a star dev. Again, gambling that these young linebackers can continue to develop, and our safeties were really, really good last season, leading our team 1 and 2 in interceptions. So again, I think, we do know Madden tends to favor rookie quarterbacks, so hopefully this will be our first time we get at least 500. That is at minimum my goal this year is 8 wins. And very early here in year 3, Darrell Taylor, our outside linebacker, I think we got him in the 3rd round 2 years ago, went from normal to star dev, so that's nice. 20,000 XP is huge as well. And as we get ready for our Week 10 bye, we're coming off the tails of a Week 9 explosive victory over the Kansas City Chiefs where Josh Jacobs was dominant. 195 yards, averaging 15 yards a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns. That is literally insanity for a running back, especially a power running back. We know he doesn't have that getaway from the cop speed, but coming out of the bye, looking at some contracts here, this is a year that a lot of depth guys are going to be up for negotiation. Some really nice players. It's going to, we got to start tightening it up a little bit, tighten the book up here a little bit. So let's see. We can start with the fullback. We should be able to get him lined up for the next 5 years, which we did. And then obviously Mo Hurst is going to be a top priority. 5-year deal for him, $33.9 million. He wants a little bit more money, and I have no problem paying him to make sure he stays here with Chris Jones on the inside of that defensive line for the foreseeable future. Finish off year 3, week 17 against the Dolphins with a massive 38-17 victory. We get a player of the week, which goes to Trayvon Mullen, who had 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6. We got some upgrades here, which I'll just do after this because obviously it's very tedious. But we got the general manager wants to congratulate us. Heck of the game. If you check the state, we got a postseason. We got morale boost. That is dope. We're an 87 overall squad. Looking at some of the hidden devs. So Jackson still hasn't shown off his yet. I'm going to assume it's probably just a star, but already up to a 78 overall, which is really, really nice. Justin Fields emerged as a superstar quarterback, 83 overall, but we are slowly working at getting him into be a scheme fit. We're spending all of our points to make him improviser because, Derek Carr is far and away not the archetype that John Gruden wants, so we're going to make sure we spend a lot of the points early with Justin Fields, making him a true improviser quarterback. No other dev traits on the offense. On the defense, I don't even think we got a single dev trait scenario outside of Darrell Taylor at outside linebacker. But our team is very, very well built, and I think we've done a great job with our salary cap managing things to be an 87 overall, which is probably, we're probably a fringe playoff team right now. Look at the landscape of the NFL. So statistically wise, let's see what we got here. Justin Fields, pretty decent. I'm not going to lie, those are essentially Derek Carr numbers, though. 3,800 yards, 26 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. But given the fact that he's a rookie and Derek Carr was like a 6-7 year vet, the future is looking bright for Justin Fields. Josh Jacobs continues to be an absolute monster, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. Justin Fields chipped in 4 rushing tutties as well. Receiving, Zay Jones, big year, 73 catches, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Almost 900 yards and 8 touchdowns for Ruggs. 705 from Waller, 604 from Renfro. I'll take that. We actually got 3 touchdowns from Ingold as well, making that contract extension look very well deserved. Defensively, Abram led the team, 117 tackles, 10 TFLs. Sacks are still kind of difficult to come by. The TFLs look great. Our run defense is playing well, but Max Crosby's a starting D-end, and he got a sack and a half. Cleveland Farrell, starting D-end, 1 sack. So very disappointing numbers here, but Chris Jones, that's a big impact coming over as a free agent. We paid big money, 18 TFLs, 5.5 sacks. That's pretty good. Interceptions down a little bit. Trayvon Mullen from that player of the week. Those are only interceptions on the year. We're 7th offense in the league. Defensively, we're probably fairly low. 11th, that's not bad. Okay. Yearly awards, Mahomes is your league MVP. Looking at the AFC Offensive Player of the Year, went to Patrick. We might actually have a chance at Coach of the Year. He's runner-up. Runner-up to the clapper. Defensive Player of the Year went to Isaiah Simmons, doing big things for the Jets already. Offensive Rookie of the Year went to Alan Bowman. Justin Fields, runner-up at number 2. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Xavier Thomas. Quarterback Mahomes, Chubb running back. AB is with the Colts. Okay. All right. Man, the Jets look utterly dominant, but we made the playoffs. I'll take that over team success. So let's figure out who we're going to be taking on in the AFC divisional round here in year 3 of the rebuild. But our first playoff appearance, we're taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers here in the divisional round. Play the moment. So we're marching down the field, get into the red zone, and we walk away with no points, which is not good. And we're struggling. We are stalling. Every time we sit the red zone, we are settling for a field goal. That's 4 red zone attempts, and we have 6 points. Probably not going to win this game. That's not good enough, but maybe our defense can continue to bail us out. No touchdowns. Still, I mean, truth be told, they're not scoring touchdowns either. And we get the first score of the game, 15-10, as we go into the 4th quarter. We're in the red zone. My God, I'm going to say full kudos to that Pittsburgh Steelers red zone defense. It's been utterly dominant today. We're chewing our way on the clock, and we win 22-17. Not a high-scoring victory, but good enough. Josh Jacobs over 100 yards on the day. Justin Fields very accurate with 72% completion percentage as the Oakland Raiders get their first playoff win here in the rebuild, and we are moving on to the AFC Championship game. The development of Alaric Jackson, though, has... I'm gonna knock off, for guards in particular, we're going to knock off 10 full points, knock it down to 125. They do have dev traits. Dev trait players should develop fast, but he went up, what? Like 5 points, 4 or 5, something, maybe more as a backup. So that's a little too rich for my blood. We'll knock it down to 120. So that's 25 points less than what the standard sliders are going for. All right, AFC Conference Championship game. A team that's been there and done that in the Browns versus the team that's never been here with a rookie quarterback. How can this end positively? We get a nice lead here. Jump out with a field goal lead. Going down the field, 3rd down. We're not stalling in the red zone. We are until there. 10-10 tied ball game. And at halftime, 7-point lead, it's looking like. Oh, we tied up 17 apiece. Going to the second half. Come on, Super Bowl is on the line, boys. Let's go defense. We got top 10 units realistic on both sides. 24-24, tied game in the 4th quarter. Browns get a late little touchdown there. We have to settle for a field goal, down 4 points. Defense needs to stop. They get an automatic touchdown. Oh, I'm proud of my team. It's too little, too late. Oh my God, we actually get a chance. Okay, we're coming in. 13 seconds. Super Bowl on the line. Oh Jesus. Okay, we got to get out of bounds. We only need to get into field goal range. We got Ruggs, 97 speed. We got Zay Jones, right bumper. He might be able to get out of bounds. Okay, drops. Oh, that's not really a drop. It's more of a pass breakup. Shit. We might have to just straight up take a big shot. Yeah, they're going Hail Mary. We have to take a shot. Henry Ruggs really needs to be target 1 here. So let's go 4 verts. Ruggs at the top of the screen. I assume they have Denzel Ward on him. That's like speed against speed. Come on, someone. Okay, we got 5 yards. 1 second. We still have a chance. No one's getting open. We'll go 4 verts one more time. Pretty much just going to have to close our eyes and hit X. That's our best option. He's one of the fastest players in the league. I'm proud of this team, man. Too little, too late. I was hoping for 8 wins. And we got a game away from the Super Bowl. They fought tooth and nail. Justin Fields, elite. 81% completion percentage, 340, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards for Josh Jacobs. Ruggs, 8 catches, 114. It's just a young team went up against the Browns. We know the Browns are perennial Super Bowl deep playoff team here in the franchise. This is only the beginning here for the Raiders. The Pro Bowl, I'm going to make a slight adjustment as well. It just makes sense looking at it. Josh Jacobs is the starting running back. We got Ingold back in it. I'm only going to give it to a lineman because you can't go up dead traits if they're the starter. Linebacker, if you're left tackle 1, left guard, because look, we have Lemieux here, who's left guard 2. I feel like it's only fair that if we are going to kind of go outside the game to reward players, they got to be at least the starter for their position. So Lemieux made it, Hudson made it. We're starting to see a lot of our guys get some respect around the league as Pro Bowl. Abram starting right outside linebacker. Yeah, I'll take it. Some nice rewards there, but obviously the feeling around the building. You're disappointed that we lost in the AFC Championship game, but we're looking good. We're only going to get better as we gear up for year 4. Super Bowl last year. The Browns won the Super Bowl this year. At least there's some comfort in we lost to the dynasty right now in this world. You can see we're not really looking at signing anyone. Your familiar faces were there. We just don't have a whole lot of salary like Van Der Esch, O.J. Howard at tight end maybe, but we're just at a spot with $26 million. We have a lot of contracts coming up. I feel like our roster is well-rounded enough that we need to keep that money in-house to re-sign some of our own guys. Now, here's an interesting one. We got a fifth-year option scenario with Clelin Ferrell. I'm actually going to decline it. I wonder if, like, somehow, some way, there's something in the algorithm that when I decline the fifth-year option, kind of like when players, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but when they're in contract years, they have, like, their first big breakout year with you. I wonder if that's something similar here if we decline the contract option because we have not been getting ideal production, nowhere near, like, what was he, a top 5 pick production out of Clelin Ferrell on that defensive line. However, because that was a big year, we got some other first rounds. Josh Jacobs absolutely picking up the fifth-year option on him. We should get one for John Abrams. Of course, we don't. And what I call him Abrams, it says Abrams Tank. We used to call him John Abram. I don't know why. He's a first-round pick. Shouldn't he have a fifth-year option? I guess not. Great, because he's the one guy that's going to cost $1 trillion to resign. We'll start trimming some fat on the roster. Derek Carr, it's going to free up almost $20 million. Thank you for your service, but at this point in time, we do no longer require your services. I think we could probably say with Alaric Jackson emerging, we can get rid of Gabe Jackson, even though he's star dev. It's just, you know, I'm just prioritizing guys that we're going to sign. We're here at the draft, looking at where we could get better. Middle linebackers kind of stalling out a little bit. Getting successor, maybe at free safety to LaMarcus Joyner. Maybe a successor inside for Rodney Hudson. He might retire sooner than later. Going, you know, it's Madden generated draft class time, so you're not going to ever really get punished going for linemen. So, I mean, we're almost at a best player available, but let's be conscientious of some of our aging players and see if we can get their successors here. Really finish out this draft, one of the best draft classes we've ever had. Perfect way to start realistic rebuilds. So you saw the first 2 picks. Outside of that, we got Deshaun Stamey, 69 hidden dev free safety to come in and be the potential heir to LaMarcus Joyner. Third round, we got Darian Bethel, 72 normal dev guard. He's 21. We got Javonte Snow, 66. Rating's not great, but the hidden dev trait is huge. Scheme fit. I'm going to say insurance policy. Again, a potential insurance policy if Clelin Ferrell doesn't develop. We just pretty much want BPA with our board. We got a 67. We got a 65. We got a 67. And then we finish it up with a 68 right tackle. Guys that all bring in flexibility, more depth of the line. Unreal, man. Unreal draft. But Quinn Perry, what a selection. So what perfect offseason to parlay into year 4, looking to improve upon an AFC Championship appearance. We're at 86 overall. Slowly but surely, we're coming along. Josh Jacobs has got promoted to superstar, which he would have hit a Super Bowl week. Unreal. I mean, he's deserved it. We're going to find a way to get McManus involved. I'm actually going to make him our starting slot wide receiver. He's as crazy of a wide receiver prospect as I've seen. Ruggs hasn't really developed. Like where we've had like a lot of crazy development from our guards, that's not even that crazy. But Ruggs has been struggling here at wide receivers. But I mean, we haven't had a prolific passing attack, so it kind of makes sense. When you look at the defense, Perry, we're gonna let him be our starting nickel. Abram has got promoted to superstar X Factor. He has the selfless ability, which is pretty nice. If we ever have to hop in and play some defense, he got that dev trait Super Bowl week. We got Stamey here to potentially be the successor to Joyner, so we'll make sure he gets some snaps. But this team here, I'm feeling we're in a really, really good spot. Hopefully we don't have a slump here in year 4. Up from the bye, 6-2. Really, really like where we're at. 88 overall, top dogs in the AFC West. Contract time. This is really why we have only extended or signed, Chris Jones, because we have a lot of guys that need to get paid. So first up, we got John Abram. Definitely want to lock him up. Rodney Hudson on a 1 year. That's kind of expensive. We'll push some of these contracts back. Max Crosby's pretty nice option at defensive end. If he takes this, we'll keep him. If not, we'll let him walk. I think we're going to have to let Clelin Ferrell walk. Hunter Renfrow. If he takes this, we'll keep him. If not... All right, yeah, because it's pretty much Renfrow or Zay Jones. One of those guys is going to be a breaking point when it comes to their contract. We'll have to make a decision on it. Trayvon Mullen, these corners like this don't grow on trees. Colton Miller's been a solid tackle. But, oh, that's so much money. 82, 26, 27, 28, 26, 30. If we'll take this, okay. He wants more money, he can go pound sand. I'm looking at our depth here. I mean, we'll wait and see. We'll see out the rest of the season. I'm not going to completely rule out anybody actually right now at this stage. But I feel like Joyner could probably walk. We drafted his successor. Even though that's a reasonable deal, he's going to regress into the 70s. So, yeah. Let's just play it by ear, and we'll figure out what we're going to do with some of our veterans. Year 4, we have found ourselves after a uncharacteristic tie. 11-4-1. We're in the wild card. Our second AFC West title. We've had no dev traits. We actually had 2 dev traits today. It was trigger for Josh Jacobs to go from Superstar to Superstar X Factor. He unfortunately could not hit any of those. But looking at some of our young players, McManus came out with a star dev. A little bit disappointing, but he's already a scheme fit, which is a bonus. You flip on the defense. We're still waiting to see what Snow and Stamey's dev traits are, as they are depth players. But fingers crossed, one of them might get a superstar. That could be nice. Looking at our statistics here, big jump up in production from Justin Fields. 3,800 passing yards, 35 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. We weren't getting that with Derek Carr. 1,200 yards, 4 touchdowns for Josh Jacobs. Fields also chipped in 4 rushing touchdowns. Wait a minute. I love a fullback getting 5 tutties. Ingold, MVP. Receiving Zay Jones, 87 yards, almost 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. And I was talking about maybe replacing him. Waller's almost 804. We got 711 from Renfro. McManus, 704. Ruggs, really disappointing season. Kind of on the outside looking in. We got to find a way to get him the ball a lot more. You can't just be wasting that speed. He can't be John Ross 2.0. Abram, 107 tackles, 103 for Weaver. Sacks still disappointing, but if you're combining TFLs and sacks, you value them both kind of fairly. It's looking nice. And Cleveland Farrell, God, trash. Trash tier. 4 picks. Okudah finally playing like a ball hawk. Interceptions are acceptable. Yearly awards, MVP went to Carson Wentz. Justin Fields coming in at number 5. Coach of the year went to Freddie Kitchens. AFC Offensive Player of the Year went to Deshaun Watson. Fields the runner-up. Defensive Player of the Year with Kyle Van Noy. Offensive Rookie of the Year, McManus coming in at number 3. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Quinn Perry coming in at number 2. Quarterback went to Brissett. For individual awards, we unfortunately didn't have anyone, but it's a team game, and we got the biggest thing that mattered from the regular season, and that is champions back-to-back years in the AFC West. Now let's get into this wild card game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, opening drive, we get into the red zone and stall out, kick a field goal, but it's a rainy game here in Oakland. I guess it's Vegas now, sorry, Las Vegas. It rains in the desert, I guess. But we're up. We got the only touchdown in the game. Starting to pile on. Starting to pull ahead here over the Jags. 17-3. We go into the second half. Our defense is playing outstanding. Another touchdown for the offense. We put up 30 points. This game's over. This game's over. They're not coming back from that unless there's an epic collapse, a pick 6, something very, very uncharacteristic from this offense. And we almost put up 40 points on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They made it closer than it was really in the end. 38-24, though. The Raiders get another playoff win under their belt. Over 100 yards for Josh Jacobs. Clean game from Justin Fields as we get back to the AFC divisional round. All right, let's go. Divisional round against the Indianapolis Colts. Am I worried? Not really. But, it's a big game. It's AFC Championships on the line. We definitely want to get back to that game. And it looks like the Colts starting out a little bit hotter. They're at home. They're in front of their home crowd. They got some juice. The building's electric. And we're withstanding here. And we get a field goal to make it 4 points. Oh, no, they're pulling ahead. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Come on, touchdown. Make it a one-score game. It's a one-score game in the fourth quarter. We need our defense to get a big stand. They get a turnover. And we tied up and missed the extra point. What? Missed the extra... What? Fields had a great day, over 100 yards for Hunter Renfro, and we missed the extra point. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna hope that we went for 2. We had the balls to go for 2 and try to win it outright and not miss an extra point. I'm gonna have to get a new kicker. That cannot happen. All right, year 5, Pro Bowl. Even though it doesn't matter, we're just more so disappointed with our actual performance. We had some guys make it again. Abram made it. We have Chris Jones made it. We have a lot of runners up. Trent Brown can't get a dev trait. Yet again, Hudson's the automatic starter there. Ingold, fullback. Honestly, I'm going to give Ingold a dev trait. I don't know if fullbacks get him, but he's made the Pro Bowl like 5 times, and he hasn't got him dev, so I'm going to boost that, unless it actually happens on its own organically, which I don't think fullbacks get included. They don't even have dev traits, but it'll help his development in terms of base overall. One last-ditch in-house signing before free agency kicks off. Getting Moreau, just because Darren Waller is starting to regress a little bit. So we'll bring back Foster Moreau just as insurance. But, Rodney Hudson, we got Trent Brown. There's too much money for old veteran players. Colton Miller wants a tag, doesn't want Joyner's too old. So, what's a franchise tag on a center? $12 million for one. You know what? I'm franchise tagging Rodney Hudson. He's made the Pro Bowl every year we've been here. But for Trent Brown, it's actually not that bad. If you'll take this, we'll keep him back here. He wants to go to free agency and kiss my ass. The Cowboys are your Super Bowl winners. That's all we're going to say about that. Some big names in free agency here. Devin White, Taylor Rapp, some running back. I see my boy Tony P here and desperately want him. I think we're gonna actually kind of go cheap here at tackle. We have some depth linemen that I think we can move around and survive. It could come as bite in the ass because look, Greg Little's there. Instant plug-and-play starter at left tackle. I just feel like this is like the last window of free agency. We're getting to this final year because usually we can spend all our money because it's year 5 Super Bowl or bust. Because it's a 10-year rebuild, I'm gonna be conscientious of our money because I think next window it's gonna be very expensive. So give me one more year of just prioritizing re-signing our own talent, and then maybe year 6, maybe kicking off the second episode, part 2 of the Raiders rebuild, we can start splurging a little bit in free agency because ultimately, give out big contracts now. It's going to make it that much more impossible to extend Justin Fields. However, have a 5th-year option on Jeff Okudah. No chance in hell we're not picking that up. So thank you very much. And we also have to think about Henry Ruggs. We got to get him more involved in the offense. I'm not letting a guy with that kind of speed go. I think it was our fault for not game planning him, not putting him in the proper spot in the depth chart. So I definitely want to see what Henry Ruggs can do this year. Big year for him, though. And for our final draft of the rebuild, trying to set a foundation to go forward. It's really pretty strong. I picked Bost here. He's not a scheme fit, but I feel like with Ferrell gone, we just need to go best edge rusher available. So between Bost or Darrell Taylor, one of those guys, they're essentially an edge. We should be able to convert to defensive end, so we'll make the proper decision. But this guy looks good. 77 hidden dev. He's 21. Outside of that, we just got some solid picks. Triplet, 69 hidden dev offensive lineman, 94 strength. With that build, he can play inside or outside. 68 safety here, normal dev. We got a 69 tackle, normal dev. And the worst looking pick, 56, the guard from Northwestern. But he also came with a hidden dev, so there might be something there. But he's probably going to be a prime candidate to land on the practice squad. So as we get ready for year 5, here's how our team, 87 overall. So we're in a really, really good spot. You look at the offense. I'm going to make Ruggs. He's in a prove-it year. He's going to be our starting outside wide receiver. Zay Jones is now up to a superstar. When did he hit that? He must have hit that at the Super Bowl, which he did. Offensive line, Alaric Jackson moving back from guard to left tackle. We're going to have Bethel start at right guard. Inexperience at right tackle. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. Actually, you know what's probably best? If we take Triplet, 71, he has the dev trait. It might make the most sense to make him our starting right tackle. Maximize the dev trait. Okay, I don't know why it always switches that. It makes no sense. But either way, we got it where we want it. Flipping to the defense. In terms of dev traits, no big ones outside of the fact that Stamey, that depth safety, came out with a superstar dev trait at a New Mexico State. Big shoes to fill, taking over for LaMarcus Joyner. Boss is going to start at outside linebacker. We move Darrell Taylor, hand in the dirt, going to be our defensive end. Come on. Let's get the Super Bowl. Let's get the Super Bowl. We don't have to because we still got 6 more years, including this year, but it would be really nice to at least make a Super Bowl appearance in the first episode. From the bye, we're 5-1 here in year 5. Going actually against a really good-looking Jets team. Top dogs in the AFC West. Not really experiencing much of a down year, given the fact we did lose a lot of talent in free agency. We'll quickly upgrade both of these players. Bost, not a scheme fit, so this is going to be a long trek to start getting some points for him, but we got to make him into a power rusher. He has that potential. He's not like he's not like a 230 super undersized type defensive end. Renfro up to an 85 overall, but here's why we haven't been signing free agents, because this is a big one. First up, you see Josh Jacobs, gonna have to find a way to extend him. We'll offer this initial deal 5 years. get him locked up. Hudson for a 1 year. We'll wait and see what kind of regression we're talking about. Shane Lemieux, though, has definitely established himself as one of the better guards in the National Football League. Really well-rounded. Darrell Taylor getting the promotion to be a defensive end. Maybe that cost us a couple extra million. We're going to make sure we can try to re-sign him. Darren Waller has not really been that productive, enough so that, re-signing Moreau last year, I think Moreau could probably take over as a starting tight end. We'll wait and see, though, what kind of production he does, but I definitely am going to come back to the table with Darrell Taylor, and we'll see maybe at year's end bringing back Rodney Hudson on a 1-year deal. We're not going to... I was waiting like, this is going to be the gameplay. I know you guys want to see more gameplay rebuild. I was like, this is going to be at year 5. That's when I'm going to play my gameplay. I did not think we were going to peak and have our worst season of the rebuild of us being a good team here in year 5. So I guess there's a cliffhanger as we went 9-7. We got to see what this team can do live in action. We're going to have to wait a whole episode. Ah, that's annoying. My bad, fellas. I didn't know Madden was going to have our team. I mean, we did let some guys walk, some veterans walk. 89 overall. I mean, triplet is superstar. Let's go. Superstar lineman. Just as we're getting ready to probably lose one to retirement in Rodney Hudson, our offensive line regained some balance with a superstar to triplet, but I mean, not making the playoffs, that is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. I mean, where went wrong? How did we? I remember we lost let's see. I think we lost 6 in a row. Let's see. Let's go to my schedule real quick. Come on, team schedule, please. See, look, we were pretty good at the bye, but look at this. We went split 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't lose 5 in a row, especially down the stretch. Justin Fields was fine. Maybe not. He didn't surpass what he did last season. Maybe that saw a little bit of a slump. Josh Jacobs, the running back tackle, was good. Wide receivers, Ruggs finally had a big year. We gave him the spotlight, almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. McManus was productive. Waller had a nice season. Defensively, Abram, again, monster. 11 sacks, first double-digit sacks. Almost 2 guys getting double-digit sacks. So we've had our best production from a sacks side of things. As good, probably, from an interception side of things. You're the MVP, Saquon. Just a quick look, Mahomes. Miles Jack. We had nobody win any of these awards. Now you're starting to get some randoms there. That's a disappointing way to end. But hey, you want realistic. Realistic is when things look like they can't go wrong, everything goes wrong. Trust me, I take that from an Eagles fan. When things can go wrong, when you don't think there's any way you suck, you'll find a way to suck. And that's kind of what happened here in year 5. But we still have a part 2 of this video. 5 more years. Promise more gameplay. Even if it's looking like there might not be a chance to play out, I'm going to hop in and play again because this team's too good. The good news is it's not like this team peaked or anything. We didn't get to see this team at full strength. They're only going to continue to get better. So hopefully we can kick off part 2 with a nice playoff run that we can hop in and actually get in and play some games with this team. But we're at a good spot. We're going to be taking over a really good Raiders team that's not brutally up against the cap. So I'm feeling good about where we're at. So I hope you guys did enjoy the return of Realistic Rebuilds. I hope everything that you guys have been missing and craving from me from a content standpoint and a rebuild standpoint, that itch has been scratched in this video. I'm always going to be looking at feedback because, like I said, this is the first go. We already had to kind of modify the sliders, dumb them down just a little bit. But outside of the gameplay, which I was expecting to play it right now, I hope I hit all those marks for you guys. I'm reinvigorated. I had the best time recording this video that I have in 2 months in making Madden content. It just makes me feel like we're getting back to what we should do here on this channel. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Again, comments, questions, concerns in the comments are appreciated. And until next time, we're probably going to have about a 2-day lap. So I think when we do a rebuild, there's going to be a rebuild, something else rebuild. So expect the next episode on Thursday. So that does it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.
Money I'm spending, I'm out and I'm shopping. You talking that shit, well you talking and talking. Look at my options, look at me dropping. Ass in the game, like who are you stopping? Not me, not me, not never. Not me, not me, not never. Not me, not me, not never. I'm way too clever. Look at the kid, Mr. Consistent, I'm doing it big. Way too persistent.